This is an Oguri Cap guide for Uma Musume Pretty Derby, so I'm going to explain to you how to win the career as well as how to get an A rank and how to build for PvP. There's a bunch of different strategies. One of the most varied characters as far as the ways you can approach how to do this. And then also, she's one of the best characters in the game. She's actually really, really good. The first up, before anything else, go to the details on her. You'll notice her growth rate is increased by 20% for speed and 10% for power. She also has an A for mile, medium, but only a B for long. Even then, her stamina checkpoints are 2 long races. She also has A for pace and A for late. So when picking legacies for her, the main thing that you're looking for is speed. So here I've got 2 speed, 2 speed, and 2 power. That's all I got right now from my own legacies. That's decent. You can also go to legacy, go to guess. I've already used 3 of mine. 3 times a day you can guess, borrow from people that you follow. You can find them by going to team trials and looking at the leaderboards, finding people who have really good ones. If I could, I would love to use this one, which has 3 speed, 2 power, and 2 power. And there's probably a better one in there somewhere that I have that I could choose. Now, if you can get affinity to be a circle, that's great. There's also double circle, which is even better, but that's not like the end of the world if it's just a circle. If it's triangle, it's not great, but it's also not like the end. The other main goals is trying to get long up to A using the sparks. And then also I got pace chaser here. So hopefully throughout the game somewhere, pace chaser will become S. Or to get late to S or turf to S. Any of those is going to help a lot just for winning the races and for building out a good PvP Oguri Cap. So the big issue with this character is that there's the stamina checks. So stamina for this character needs to be 300 at least. Now, if you have her potential levels leveled up and enhanced where she can get Gourmand every single time, you can get that and that helps. If you don't get that, you might need stamina 400. And that matters a lot. That can change the cards that you pick. So one thing that can happen, if you do have a lot of options with legacies, if you instead had legacies that do stamina, that would be great because then without any training at all, you could have her stamina be 200 or maybe 300. And that's relevant because then you could just focus on speed, power, or wit in order to get an A rank with her. And that will let you level up the training. Because if you ever noticed, if you, like say you train speed over and over again, you'll have level 2 training, level 3 training, level 4 training. And that's going to matter a lot for trying to get her built up to an A rank or just to complete the career mode. So then the question is what cards to use for her. And that depends on which way you're trying to build her. Are you just trying to get an A rank? Are you trying to get her as get her sparks for a legacy? The issue with this, though, is if you don't have a lot of stuff for stamina, you're going to have to train stamina or power during your friendship farming in the first, like, 20 or 30 turns. And if you get unlucky and there's not enough opportunities to train stamina, you'll have to try to train stamina during the summers if you get the opportunity. And so it's really easy to not get enough stamina if you do this. You could get 1 stamina card here and try to go that way for an A rank. Or you can go with, like, 2 stamina, 2 speed, and 2 wit. You can go with that route as well. You can try, all the different methods, different combos of those to try to do it if you're going to do it the cheese way just for an A rank. Now, if you're trying to just beat career mode and build a good PvP character and don't care if it's B+ or A or whatever, then one good strategy is to do 4 speed and 2 stamina. Some people like to make it 3 speed, 2 stamina, and 1 wit, and then use the wit one when there's nothing better to do just to get that extra energy regen, have to rest less. And the main goal behind this one is if you get speed up to 1200 by the end, that will get your power up to like 700 or something like that. And then you just here and there along the way when these cards are lined up with stamina training and that friendship bonus, then you train stamina. And if you're lucky and you get a good run and good friendship training combos, you might be able to end the run with like 1200 speed, 700 stamina, and like 700 power or something like that. But that's big. That's definitely luck dependent. And it also depends on your sparks and what level your cards are and stuff. All that stuff factors in. But that's kind of like the goal. And if you get an Oguri Cap who has, 1200, 700, 700, that's pretty good for PvP. Like, it'd be nice if you get some wit too as well. But, it depends on what cards you have. I think that's another reason why people like to do 1 wit, 2 stamina, and 3 speed. Is so that they can try to get wit up to like 400. And then get stamina up to like 500. Power up to 700. Speed up to like 11 to 1200. But all that stuff, you have to have such a lucky run in order to be able to get that high, especially this early on when your cards are all 25 or 30. And if you're just trying to build it for sparks, this is also kind of the way. You just do speed and stamina. and just try to get stamina 600, power 600, speed 1100, and then if you roll one of those, you'll hope you get a 3-star. And if you don't know how Sparks works with the numbers and stuff, you can check out my Sparks guide where I go into detail on that stuff. The other big thing here is these support cards are not all equal. Not at all. So one of the main things that you want here, you want good friendship bonus. You definitely want good mood effect. It's arguably better than friendship bonus. And then you want the specialty priority as high as you can get. Cards that have like 50 plus specialty priority, that's like the best thing that you can possibly have when using these cards, because that determines how often a speed support appears on a speed training or power on a power or something like that, and that's how you're going to get your friendship bonus. But the mood effect's also nice, because mood effect is if you're in a great mood and you have a speed card on a power card, you still get bonus stats, so that can also help pad your stats throughout the end. Also, if you're trying to get an A rank, the main thing that you're trying to get is you want to get single stats up as high as possible. Once you get over 1,000 on a stat, it's like you basically get bonus points for getting it that high towards your ranking. So in a perfect world, what you'd want to get, instead of having like 800, 800, 800, it'd be better to have 1,200, 200, 1,200, and that would get you way more points if you're just trying to get an A rank. But if you're just trying to beat career mode, well then, you know, that's a little bit different. So I don't know what your goal is here, but like the career mode, just go speed, power, stamina, and you will win. But speed, wit can also just win you career mode. But like I said, on this run, I'm just going to go for the A. I don't know if I'll get it or not, but just show you what's up. So another important thing after the first turn, or sometimes even first turn, it's just kind of sketchy. You might waste a turn or waste energy, but like right now, I can get 2 on power. All the rest have 1. I could get a hint with this one, which would get his friendship up a little bit faster, but this is a great opportunity to do recreation instead, and hope I get this one, which thank God I got that one. Jumps 2 levels straight up to great. Now my gains are going to be way higher because all the cards I used have the mood effect. So now we go back to training. I don't want to do power, but it's literally 3 versus having 1 on any of the others. That's the example I was talking about. And I do get some stamina, which is great. And I need stamina, you know, to pass the stamina check. So that works out. Then we got 3 on wit. That's fantastic. It didn't restore much energy, but later on, once I have friendship bonuses, that would have restored like 20 or something energy, I think, because there were so many wit cards on that. And then 2 on speed. That's great. Working towards that level 5 speed training. 3 on wit again. Fantastic. So now we're at the debut race, and I think I only had to rest 1 time, which is great. This is honestly starting off as a pretty decent run. I'd rate it like a 7 out of 10 start. I'm going to get hydrate and start working towards Gorman, just so I don't have to get as much stamina. Also important to change her to pace, because the further up you can do, the better if you have the stamina to support it, so you don't have to get through as many contestants, because the further back you are, the more power you're going to need to push through at the end. So pace is generally better for these runs, unless you're building a lot of power. Another thing, if you really want to min-max this, is the next goal is 3,000 fans. And if you wait all the way till early December, you can do these G1 races. And if you have enough stats to beat them, that's great, because beating G1 races can make you get white sparks if you're trying to build her for sparks. But then also the G1 races give the most skill points as well. So that's kind of a min-max to get more skill points. And the amount of skills you get does increase your rating if you're trying to get high rank. And they're helpful in PvP. They make your character better in PvP. So that's the ideal. You don't have to, but it just depends on what your goal is. Are you trying to beat career? Or are you trying to min-max? Also, with the random events, you have to learn them all eventually. You can find them all on Game Tora, but it just takes forever to learn. Even looking them up, every time you would see one of these, you have to go to the site and go look. So it's up to you which way you want to do it. But the main thing you're looking for is anything that can give you energy back or give you stats for free. Those are like the best things that you can pick. And then here's another good example. Remember I said I need to build stamina early? Well, speed has nothing on it. Wit has nothing on it. Stamina has 4 things on it, 3 of which are my support cards. Good turn to get that little bit of stamina. Slowly work my way up to 300 throughout the career. I've got another good example here. So stamina has 3 on it. Wit has 2 and a hint. So it's kind of a 50-50 here, because the hint's nice, that's nice. I also do need stamina. But the decider here is I have a 12% failure if I do stamina, whereas wit will get me up enough to where next turn I'll have 0% failure or close to it on if there's a good option next turn. So that's kind of the decider here, just to give you some insight into some decision making you can make throughout the career. And then that paid off. I'm down to a 7% failure, which is still terrifying, to be honest, but that's like anything below 10% is like reasonable to risk, but you don't want to risk your whole career on it if you can help it. And then, you know, speed now, 7%, with 2 characters that are almost up to orange friendship. So unless I fail this, which I have failed like a 3% before it happens, but it didn't happen, so that all worked out. God, now I'm taking a gamble. 12% is higher than I would like for wit to restore. Once you get low enough on energy, even wit has a chance to fail, even though it restores energy. But man, if I get this, both these characters go to orange. So hopefully I don't lose. Thank goodness I didn't lose. And now I got 2 characters up to orange. But now, unless there's a good wit training, which actually there kind of is, so I'm just going to keep doing wit training here. And now I've got enough to I could risk another training that's not wit, depending on what happens on this next turn. All right, so on this turn, I could do speed at 28% failure, 0% on wit just to train one character up. I also have to keep in mind next turn is the G1s, and then another G1 if I decide to do an extra G1, which honestly would not be optimal. I only need to do one of these. So I have to decide now, is this training worth not resting? Is it better to rest on this? Or is it better to do this and then the race? Like, I don't know. I'm actually not sure. This is kind of one of those 50-50-50. Like, none of these are really, like, the perfect choice. I'm going to go with the wit. It's going to push me up just enough to where I could do speed if I need to at, like, a, I don't know, 7% fail or something, I hope. But then also I could do the race if there's nothing good to do this turn. So I look at this. And then, of course, this turn has great wit training. So now, here's kind of the conundrum, right? I'm risking it because if you get unlucky, like, so if I train my wit right now, which is ideal, this is definitely the choice. But what could happen is then I only get one chance at this race before getting kicked out of this career. And so what could happen, and I'm sure you've had this happen, I've had this happen many times, where you'll go into it, you're the #1 favorite, you have double circle on all stats, you go look at your competition, you have like 1.5 times stats on average of even the next highest person, and then you go to the race and you come in 16th place. Like, that can absolutely happen. But one of those things, it's like all this is luck, and you got to try to min-max the best choices you can. So I'm going to go with the wit choice and bank it all on that. And if I have to redo the career, then I've got to redo the career, basically. That's just like, sometimes you got to make the risky calls and hope that it pans out. So #1 favorite, double circle everything. Gonna do pace, and hopefully we get first place, and thankfully we did. I've had that exact scenario before, though, and I come in last place because of the random... Like, no matter how likely you are to win, you still have like a 0.01% chance or something, or whatever it ends up being, to just lose anyway. Also, something I wasn't even thinking about, but actually worked out perfectly, was one thing I always forget to do. That was late December. At the beginning of the year, you always get these options, and the best option here, if you're missing energy, is the healthy node, or whichever one is like this for other characters, and it'll give you some energy back. And now, I'm back to where I could train again here, and I don't need to rest. The choices aren't great, but since so many cards are on stamina, and I get a hint, and this one, I get its friendship up a little bit, this is another opportunity to get a little bit more stamina. Now we're in a scenario 33% fail on speed, even though I'd love to do it. Wit, it's like I get a hint, but it's not a wit card, and there's not really nothing for me. I'm low on energy. Finally, I need a rest. I think this is my first rest since the debut race. Like, that's like how you can cheese so easily with the wit plus speed strategy. And now it's late March. We got the inspiration from the goddess statues, and we end up getting 26 speed, 4 power, which is horrifically bad. If you have good sparks and double affinity, that could have been like almost 100 speed and plus like 50 of another stat or something. So that's where sparks really would matter a lot, and they help a lot. So now it's the next race. We're going to buy this Gorman skill because our stamina is still really weak. We haven't got any hints for any other stamina skills, so it's mainly just looking for skills for Pace Chaser or just general skills, universal skills. So now it's early June. Early July is when you start the summer vacation, which is an important part of this, the whole career. And so since I'm at half stamina, I'm going to rest. So it's not that wasteful, even if I got the big one, which unfortunately I got the worst one actually, which is terrible. So I'm going to do wit here to try to bring it up a little bit more since I got one of these wit ones. Because you want to start summer with as much energy as possible while trying to like min-max into it as best as you can. So I got to weigh like training versus the actual energy you have at the beginning of summer. So during summer, this is like your opportunity sometimes to get stamina, and not this turn in particular. It's also just a good chance to get training. If you're lucky here, basically all these trainings, it's as if they're level 5 trainings, I think is how it works. It's sort of like that. Maybe that's not the exact thing, but that's about how strong they are. So if you get one where it's like, oh, speed with like 4 people on it, all 3 of which are your speed supports, you'll get like 50 or 60 speed. So yeah, summer is really good. You can get this is where luck comes in big. Some summers are absolutely terrible, and some summers are fantastic, and that makes a world of difference for the run. So this turn, I had a wit one with this card was not quite. It's my last card that's not quite up to Orange Friendship, but because of that, I'm instead going to do stamina to try to get a little bit of stamina. You can get more stamina without anything in the summer than you can when it's level 1 training outside of it. And we definitely need 200 stamina at the end of summer. If we can get it, that would help a lot. And now I'm presented with a tough choice. It's stamina plus get this card's friendship up the rest of the way, or just do a single one on wit for 25 wit. I'm going to go with the stamina again just because I know I'm going to need it, and there's no guarantee that I can make time to go get it later on. In the final turn of summer, I can do wit or I can do speed. It's really a tough choice, but I got 13% failure on speed, so let's do wit. That'll set me up for the next turn in case I need to do speed or something and want to have not a bad failure rate. So now we're in a weird spot. I would love to do speed training this turn, but over the course of like 5 turns, mood went down 3 different times, and now we're at bad mood. So this is where the run went from being like a 7 out of 10 to like a 5 out of 10. We were starting off strong. Luck was terrible. That was horrible luck. And then look, that followed by another mood down, and this is where runs just fall apart. This is the kind of stuff that you can have happen. Just do recreation again. There's no good other options right now. But look at what the options are. I could do wit, or I could try to get the mood up again. I'm going to try to get the mood up again. Still didn't get the singing one, and now we just lost like 3+ turns. Like, that's really awful. But that's literally Uma Musume. That's just the game. That if you get unlucky, you're just done. So now it's time for the first stamina check. I only have 212, but I have 620 speed, 300 power, 560 wit. So I have a pretty high chance of getting first place on this one, but you never know. I mean, it's without stamina being 300, it's not like 100% guaranteed, but it should be first place. Yeah, okay, first place. But if not, maybe I just use an alarm clock and do it again. It just depends on how I'm feeling. So now is another critical part of her career. So it's the one where we have to win 2 G1 races. So you can look ahead, and there's one late February, there's some in late March, and there's some in late April as well as early May. So what I tend to do here is I just wait, like when I get to the turn that has the first G1, I just see where I'm at. And if I have a really good training to do, I'll just skip the first one. Same thing for the second one, but then once you get to like the later ones and you're running out of turns, then you kind of got to do them eventually. And if you keep on having those choices, I'll literally wait till the last 2, which would be in early June and late June, and just do those if it's like the difference between doing those 2 and then getting like multiple really good training sessions. So here's what I was just trying to explain. It's now the turn for the first of the G1 races. The next one will be in 2 turns. And the options I have are wit training with friendship boost or speed training with a friendship boost and Etsuko Otonashi. And if I get her friendship up to orange, then I get bonus stats at the end, and it's not guaranteed to get that. So I'm like, it's just the first one. There's multiple G1 races. I'll just go ahead and skip this one and get my good stats and friendship up with her, and we'll see about the next one. So now it's time for the next race, and my training options, the only one is wit, and it's only 22 wit plus 8 speed. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and go for this race then. It seems like a reasonable trade-off. But knowing this game, I wouldn't be surprised if I was a number 2 favorite and came in 16th place. But let's find out what happens. First, oh, thank goodness. That's exactly what we needed. Late March again, we have our next goddess statue inspiration, and because my sparks were terrible, they're going to be terrible. So let's see. Well, not so horrible. 43 speed, 19 power. That's pretty mid, but that helps some. And now I'm at a point, this is a really lucky scenario. There's no good training, really, and I need to rest, so I actually finally get an opportunity to rest. This is actually, I think, the 3rd time I've rested this entire time, and I got cursed, and I got mood down and night owl, so we just lost another turn. This run's luck is pretty like mid at best now. I take it back. This run is even worse than mid luck because I just went to the infirmary and it didn't even get rid of night owl, which is really terrible. And then this turn we can do a G1, and the options are wit training or speed training. It's actually kind of a tough choice. I'm just going to go with the speed training and go for the next one. There's 2 more G1s, so I'm not too worried. It's kind of late in the run to even worry about Night Owl, but I don't know if it's mathematically worth it or not, but I'm going to try to get rid of it again since I'm missing energy. There were no good trainings. I was able to get rid of it, but we've lost 5 turns minimum to bad luck now, so that's just kind of rough. So now we're looking at a scenario here. Do we risk it all or not? So we have G1s that we can do here, and we have G1 right now, but right now we have, for the speed, a double speed, which is 35 speed, 15 power. I'm going to go for the greedy play, and if I lose, I'll use alarm clocks on the next G1. Also, the game loves to do this, where it's like, oh, now that I can't do it, oh, we have another great wit training. All these great training sessions right when I have to do my races. I feel like they've actually designed it. It happens so often, I'm starting to believe it's actually coded into the game, but anyway, so now we're going to go ahead and do this and hope that we win. All right, number 2 favorite with crazy stats. And okay, we got first. A number of times I've gotten 16th in that scenario. You guys wouldn't even believe it. Another trade-off we made there was now we went into summer missing stamina, but we got lucky and it paid off because there's no good training right now for the first turn. So we're just going to rest on the first turn instead, and that should give us enough energy for all 3 of the next turns. The next one, we can train speed. The next turn has nothing, but it does have 2 on stamina, so this is our chance to try to get stamina closer to 300. And then we got another one for speed at 10% failure, so hopefully we don't fail. It'll just ruin the last bit of the run. We didn't fail. That's great, because we're running out of time, and we really got to try to get that speed up to over 1,000, or ideally over 1,100. And also, of course, we got hit with this great wit, but we're so low on energy. We're at 27% failure, so we're not going to risk it. We're going to rest instead. It's time for the next race. We're going to see how we do here. So we are number 3 favorite. Realistically, though, we should win unless the game just makes us really unlucky. Okay, we won. Next up is the stamina check. So here's another situation. Next turn is the Tokyo Turf for 30,000 fans, followed by a break, and then the one we got to do. So there's 2 longs coming up. Well, one's a medium, actually. So the medium we can win for sure. The one we have to win, though, we only have 267 stamina. So remember those 5 turns that we lost or more? This is where it's all coming together. So because of that, we don't quite have 300 stamina. We don't quite have 1,000 speed. Our wit's only 700. If we had 5 more turns of training, we might have stamina like 290, might have speed like over 1,000. Wit would be like over 700, maybe 750. And that's where you can see luck plays a humongous factor in trying to get an A rank, especially when your cards suck and your sparks suck. Because that's another factor. I could have also had an additional 100 speed and an additional, like, say, 50 stamina or 50 power or something if my sparks were better. So here's the thing. We really want to do this 30,000 fans, because increasing your fans can make your ultimate ability, ultimate skill level up, or unique skill is called in this game. So it's really important to do that to try to get to legend status at the end. And we got 7th place when we were like number 3 favorite to win on a medium run, which should have had like a 95+% chance to get first place. And the run is just cursed out the ass. So that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. So now it's time for the stamina check that we do not have enough stamina for. What we can do here is check its right-handed track and its sunny weather and its winter. In an emergency like this, we can look to see, okay, let's level up the right-handed track. It applies to this. We don't have any points for the other, but we actually couldn't get any. This is the only one that applies. So you don't necessarily want those skills, but you can try to do it to hope that you pass your stamina check. Alternatively, I could change my stance to late, which I have S tier in now. And maybe if I lose and I have to use an alarm clock, I'll try it. The issue is I have Gourmand, which increases basically gives me additional stamina, but it only happens if I'm doing Pace Chaser. So I'm the number 3 favorite to win. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I got 1st on the long, but I got 7th on the medium. That's how, like, ridiculous that luck was, guys. I'm telling you, that luck was less than 5% for me to get that 7th place, but that's just how it goes sometimes. So because of that, we're definitely not going to get legend status by the end of this run just because of that one bad luck thing with that stupid race. But hey, it's how it goes. Maybe we'll get A rank, but it's looking rough. We're down to the final turns. I've got to keep my energy up here, and also there's no good training. Of course, at the very end, there's just no good training, but speed's at S. Gonna go ahead and get wit here just to keep energy up. Maybe on the next one we can get a good speed or something. And the final training turn also sucks really bad. The only thing is wit with a single friendship. So like I showed, it started off strong, and then the second half had some pretty bad. I'd say the first half was like a 7 or 8 out of 10 on luck. The second half was like a 3 out of 10 on luck. So overall, this round, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10 on luck. So now it's time for the finale finals. I'm number 8 favorite, but that's probably not very accurate. And I got 1st. Yeah, just to show you, I got 1st on all those. That's how ridiculous it was that I got 7th place on that medium. Like, I'm telling you, that was like probably less than a 5% chance. And that's just how it goes sometimes. So at the end here, you know, I got 12 to all my stats from that person. I got, let's see, 5 from all from this person because I didn't have it all the way up. I didn't have all the way up for this, only 10 from all from that person, unfortunately. And then I get additional 5 to all, just no matter what, basically, here at the end. And so between all that, and then I'm going to go here into skill points and see if there's some cheap skills that I can buy. I could afford 2 things. So we're going to see what 2 things we could afford. I could increase this for the mile and then see... Depends, like, if you were going to have this as a mile racer in PvP, you'd only want mile things then. And then these things would be nice. I don't quite have enough left over, though, so I'll go up here and I'll just pick, like, the... cloudy weather one. That's probably more common than fall statistically. I think it's a 1 out of 3 instead of 1 out of 4. Okay, so we're gonna close that. Go back. I don't think I got an A. I had 1,078 speed, 862 wit. That's probably like a B plus, especially since fans were only 270. That's definitely a B plus. Let's see here. Career complete. B plus. Yep. We got over halfway to the A rank, and so you can see here how to get an A rank cheesing it with this strat. But no matter what strat you do, if your cards are still, like, you know, bad, not level 50, and you don't have like the super meta ones and stuff, even with going out of your way, like I skimped on stamina like way harder than you should. You should probably have a stamina card. And even then, if you get bad luck, there's nothing you can really do. You just got to go next, basically. And if your sparks suck, you also got to go next. If I had 3-star sparks across the board, even with this bad luck, I'd be at like 9,600 or something. I'd be like almost there, even with a bad run. And then at the end, I had good white sparks and pretty terrible sparks otherwise. And then I had late as S, which is not ideal for how I was doing it, but hey, you know, it is what it is. So the thing about that, another thing was the 5 turns that I lost to just bad luck. You know, it's like I would have had speed at 1,150, would have had wit over 900, and if that plus some sparks, and I'd have, you know, wit also at 1,000, speed at that, and power be at like, you know, almost 600 then, and that would have been, you know, an A rank. With all that in mind, if you are actually trying to build these things out for team trials, or just to do the daily races with, or the race events with, then you don't want the wit build. That's purely just to get an A rank just for the sake of getting it. So main thing is focus on getting stamina, power, and speed if you actually want to use the legacy. Unless you're just building sparks. If you're just building sparks, then you don't want wit sparks really that much. Maybe you do for certain builds. So really, you almost always, like for everything other than getting an A just for the sake of getting an A, then you're probably going to want to build speed, power, stamina, and if you can, try to get speed to 1100 and then power stamina to 600. And then power as high after that as possible, just so you can get sparks, and then also maybe get an A rank that way if you're lucky, and have a good PvP build. But that is Oguri Cap in a nutshell. Hopefully I was able to help you out, guys. I just wanted to make a guide for a specific character to show you how you can go about training it for PvP, the strategy for getting an A, which I wasn't able to get there, but we got pretty close, but got bad luck. And then also the ways that you should go about trying to get an A, even if you can't. It's better to have a B+ with good stats if you're actually using the thing, rather than having an A with nothing but wit and speed with 0 stamina. It's better just to have an actual normal build, even if you get a lower rank. Like in PvP, it's better to be B+ and have good stats and win than to have it be A, which inflates your ranking, but then it just loses all its races, right? So again, it just depends on what you're playing for. Like it depends on what your goal is basically from doing this. But hopefully I was able to help you out, guys. I just want to make this guide and hopefully help someone out there. Now you know how to build and play Oguri Cap in Uma Musume Pretty Derby.